Shimon, Hashem's name will be blessed forever and ever. Shalom, everybody. We want to dedicate this to our class, the evil eye, number 14, for speedy recovery. Any names you want to mention, please do so. And to all of our soldiers and the security forces in Israel and around the world, may Hashem bring them safe home. Amen. So, we talked last time about King David and the conversation he had with Shaul. He noticed that Shaul is looking at him in a way that brings Ayin Hara, so he went to fight against Goliath without the special uniform, special protection, and Baruch Hashem, he was saved from Ayin Hara. He was able to overcome Goliath. And the last thing we talked was also related to David HaMelech and counting Israel. He did a grave mistake, and 70,000 people died from a plague. And the Barbanel points out that was because of 70,000. And it was due to the sin of Sheva ben Bichri. Sheva ben Bichri, it's the name of a guy, Sheva, 7. Sheva. He was a great scholar. He was actually one of King Solomon's teachers. And at some point he rebelled against King David. And he was talking negatively against King David, and he threw dust on him when King David was just passing by, running away from Avshalom. Avshalom, his own son, rebelled against him. So he took Avshalom's side, and he said, well, if you were such a Siddiq, things like that should not happen to you, and he rebelled against him. Eventually, King Solomon deal with him later. So, because of that, of the rebellion of Sheva ben Bichri, what happened? 70,000 people died. So, we see in every way the power of the Ayin Hara everywhere we look, from the beginning of the Tanakh till the end. We continue with the story of Elisha Hanavi ve'eshet Ovadia, and the wives of Ovadia. Shalom Aleichem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam shehakol nihiyo bidvora. So, we all know who was Elisha, or Eliza. He was the prophet after Eliyahu, among many other prophets at that generation. He was just the most famous one, okay? We're saying Elisha is not the only one. It was always a group of Nevi'im, a group of prophets, okay? And Navi is not prophesizing in an empty space. There's people with him. It's for a reason. You know what's the reason? Why shouldn't be only one prophet? The reason is, one of the reason is, so in order to approve and verify the prophecy, so he won't make up stuff. Okay? When a prophet gets a prophecy, all the prophets get the same. They get more or less the same information. Okay? And they also know who is the one who's supposed to give it out, and preach about it, and teach about it. So everything is confirmed. Okay? Anyways, Elisha lived in a very special generation. And was a story with him and the wife of Ovadia. You heard about Ovadia Hanavi? So what was special about Ovadia? He was a tzaddik. He was what? He was a prophet. What?
People would say the other prophet.
Correct. He was rich. He was very wealthy. And he used all his wealth in order to save life. Save the life of whom? The life of a great scholars, a great Nevi'im. Remember we talked about more. There's many other Nevi'im. So he took care of 100 Nevi'im that was pursued by Izebel and Achav himself. But he was able, because he was going in and out in the house of Achav, and Achav consulted with him many times, so he appreciated him and he let go. Nonetheless, Izebel was pursuing after Tzadikim, after Eliyahu. She wanted to kill them. He find open ears with Obadiah. He was listening to him. He was consulting with him. And Obadiah spent all his money, buying food for them and feeding them. And he hid them. He didn't just give them food, and support them at their houses or at the yeshiva. They had to hide. So he made sure they will be in a safe place in the cave, in a hidden place. And he made sure to bring them food in a way that no one will find out and tell Achav's wife, Izebel. So at some point, money went out. So he made a deal with Achav that he will support some and he'll give him a loan. And you take care of 50, I'll take care of 50. He made everything he could in order to save these lives. He went out of his way and he risked his life. At some point, he had to take a loan from Achav and tell them, I'm good for the money, right? He trusted them 100%. So he gave them. It was a time that everyone was under a lot of pressure. There was a famine.
Wasn't Achav the king?
He was the king.
Yes.
So why was Achav afraid of what his wife was?
That's not a question why a man afraid of his wife. That's not a question. She was in control. She did everything. She did horrible things. He was evil as well. He was evil as well. He was the king over the 10 tribes. And in his time of Achav, there were great sinners and idol worshipping. And Izebel she closed yeshivot and no Torah learning. And she wanted to kill Eliyahu. And yet they were winning all battles. All the kings around them would give them taxes. Aram, Midian, they were afraid of him because it was very successful on the battle zone. Okay, so the Talmud asks, how is it possible? On one hand, you betray God, you rebel against God, and on the other hand, you're able to overcome all your enemies. Is Hashem with you or without you? You get help from Hashem or not? So what's the answer? You're unified. That's it. They were unified, they were united, and that's the power of unification. Okay? And Hashem said through one of his prophets, Havor atzabim Ephraim hanachlo. When Ephraim is another word to Israel. If they are chabur, together, even if they do atzavim, it's another word for idol worshipping, hanachlo, let it go. Hashem says, I like the way you are united. Your power is when you are together. I will hold my rage and punishment put aside. I will take care of it later. Meaning you have more time to do teshuvah due to your unification. And they were very, very powerful. When the soldiers, the messengers from Izebel went from city to city and yeshiva to yeshiva looking for Eliyahu, they heard, Eliyahu is in that city, he's giving a Devar Torah there. By the time they got there, Eliyahu already gone. He just gone, a few minutes ago. Where is he? No one will cooperate with them. No one. No one could not find telltellers among them. No snitches. No. They were united in that way, in this matter as well. Anyways, so the Talmud teaches us, no, it's not Talmud, I'm sorry, it's the Zohar. The Zohar said that the day Achav died, Ovadia died. Same thing. Ovadia was a convert. You know that. He's from Edom. He reached the level to become a Navi. Ovadia ha-Edomi. This is why his prophecies about Edom. He got the merit to be Edom. They're saying that Zohar says that there is levels in Gan Eden. There's Gan Eden for Gerim, Ger Tzedek, and Ovadia is the one who is in charge of that place in Gan Eden in heaven. Ovadia Navi. So, who became the king after Achav? His son's name Yehoram. So Yehoram looked at the list, and sees who owes the kingdom money. One of the lists was Ovadia. So he sends messengers, soldiers, to get the money. They needed to buy, supply to the kingdom. They need to buy supply for the soldiers. But of course, the wife of Ovadia has no money. They spend everything to save the prophets. So what happened was, he came once, he came twice, he gave her warnings. They gave her all the respect, but on the other hand, you got to pay your debt. They didn't care. So it's about the third time, if you don't pay the debt, I'm going to come and take your 2 sons to be in my kingdom, to be soldiers. Grab them from the yeshiva, finished. And they did it. They just came one day and they grabbed them from the house, forget about them. She couldn't help it anymore, and what she did, she went to the cemetery, standing by Ovadia's, the prophet's grave, and she screamed out to Shamayim, to Hashem, and says, Hashem, this is the sechar, this is the reward you give. We save life, we save your children, we save righteous people, Nevi'im, and there is not even food in the house to eat. Okay? She was crying out to Hashem. She has more children, but obviously they took those they can use for the needs in the palace. Okay, so I'm going to read the pasuk. It's from the book of Melachim, Kings 2, King 2, chapter 4. So Ve'isha achad, the pasuk says a woman. Rashi points out that this is the wives of Ovadia. She took advantage. And she saw Elisha, so she was yelling, calling toward Elisha Navi. He came to visit in that area. After crying out in the cemetery, maybe Hashem sent Elisha. There's no indication for it, but it looks like that's the case. ואישה אחת מנשי בני הנביאים צעקה אל אלישע לאמור, עבדך אישי מת, ואתה ידעת כי עבדך היה ירא את אדוני, והנושה בא לקחת את שני ילדיי, לא לעבדים. You want to read?
Is that 4:1?
Yes.
One woman from among the wives of the prophet's disciples cried out to Elisha, saying, Your servant, my husband, has died, and you know that your servant feared God, but now the creditor has come to take my 2 sons to be his slave.
To be slave. So what Elisha responded? Elisha was very, very sorry to hear that. He knew this woman. He knew her husband. Her husband was a tzaddik, Ovadia. Everybody knew Ovadia. And he really wanted to help her, so she can provide to her family, and she could make some parnasa, some livelihood, right? Parnasa, money, so she can pay her debts. She can go back to debtors, those she owes money, creditors, thank you, and tell them, listen, I have the money. Let go of my children. So Elisha didn't ask too many questions. What Elisha asked her? Elisha asked, what?
What do you have in your house?
What do you have in your house? Vayomer la Elisha, what can I do for you, Ma'aselach? He says, Agidi li ma yesh lach barai. Tell me what you have in the house. Read, translation.
She said, your maidservant has nothing in the house except for a jar of oil.
Okay. ותאמר אין לשבחה כל כי אם אסוך שמן. So, I don't know, in the Psukim, it doesn't say a jar. It says, I have a little oil. So the Mefarshim said she has a jar. At the bottom of the jar, she has few drops left. Just a little bit. That's the jar, but it's almost empty. Because she responded with, I have nothing to offer. Actually, I have some left over, like you have at home a perfume. So you see some, you can do a few more squeezes. And squeeze the rest of it. That's what she had. And he told her, ויאמר לה, שאלי לך כלים מן החוץ, מן כל שאינה כלים ריקים, אל תמעיטי. Go ahead.
He said, go, borrow vessels for yourself from the outside, from all your neighbors, empty vessels. Do not be sparing.
Now, it's very important what Elisha asked her. We'll get to it in a second. He told her, go collect vessels, jars, buckets, any kind of,
Sirim.
pots, right? Anything that you can put in it, material. She doesn't know yet what's going on. She's just following the instructions of the Navi, of the prophets. And what he's about to do, everybody knows already, right? He's about to perform a great miracle. That from that little jar, she's going to pour to a vessel, to a bucket, for example, and oil will come out of it. They'll replace more and more, barrels and whatever they have, whatever they could get from their neighbors. Okay. So first question is, you should ask, Elisha, you know how to perform. You know how to perform such a great miracle, right? Why are you asking her what do you have at home? Does it matter that she has some leftover of an oil? So what we learn from here is a blessing, a beracha, should dwell on something, not on nothing. If she couldn't even provide that few drops of oil, she probably wouldn't have able to get that blessings. This is why, one of the reasons, by the way, when we do Birkat HaMazon at home, okay, what do? We leave always something on the table. We leave bread, right? What's the reason we're leaving bread? So the bracha, the blessing, will rest upon something. Because bracha can come on something, not on nothingness. Right? Make sense? It has to rest on something. Any questions? Someone want to ask something on the Zoom? Okay. So, and now she's getting ready. She brought whatever she could from all neighbors. Okay. Last pasuk here, pasuk Dalet, the fourth pasuk. Uvat v'sagarta del. And now we give her more instructions. Okay, we got it. We got you the tools, the vessels, the buckets, the barrels. Everything is ready. The room is full. The house is full. What's next? He says, okay, next step is uvat v'sagarta delet. Come on in and close the door. בעדך ובעד בנייך ויצא כל הכלים האלה והמלא תסיעי בכבוד. Go ahead.
Then go in and shut the door behind you and behind your sons. Pour oil into all these vessels and carry away the full ones.
What he said to her? Close the door. We're about to start. What difference does it make? You can't do the miracle if the door is open. You feel limited if the door is open. Why you need to close the door?
Somebody might walk by or come in.
Well, come in. We'll get to you in a few hours. Okay, come back later.
We're busy doing a miracle.
We're busy now. Come back later. You see that we're busy, right? Come back later. Why the Navi, the prophet, is asking her to close the door, shut the door?
Maybe the evil forces.
No, you should know by now. You got the idea. What they're afraid of?
Evil eye.
Evil eye that come from whom?
The neighbors.
That what's going to happen? They're going to see.
That she's having.
To see the abundance, to see the miracle. And that will affect the miracle. You see, even for a miracle, you need to shut the door. Even a miracle that's come from Shemayim can be affected from Ain Hara, from the evil eye. The Malbim explained why she need to shut the door. כדי שלא יחול עין הרע בנס, so עין הרע, the power, this power will not control the miracle. Rabbi Yitzchak says, we know from tractate.
What's the evil eye? I don't understand.
It's the jealousy that people see an abundance. They see so much oil, so many vessels. Okay? The Talmud talks about, mention few people that whatever they do, if they do that business, they will never become rich. Okay, they list two of them. I tell you, one is those who sell vessels made out of straw or bamboo thingy. You know. The other one is those who write tefillin, write Sefer Torah and parchment and all that, for different reasons. Those who write tefillin and mezuzah and Sefer Torah, if they become rich, what's going to happen? They're going to go on vacations. They're going to travel the world, and they will stop writing mezuzot and Sefer Torah. So the beracha, you're going to have only so much, so you keep writing. Okay. About those who sells these bamboo utensils, it takes a lot of space. So the onlooker, someone look from distance, you see abundance. It's worth a few dollars, $2, $3, $4. It doesn't worth much. But the impression that one gets that this is abundance, a lot, and they give ayin hara in that. Nevertheless, it's not selling diamonds. It's selling very cheap stuff. And ayin hara control that as well. So Rabbi Yitzchak says in a tractate Baba Metzia, in Baba Metzia, page 42, Aleph, Membet Amud Aleph, says a line that everybody knows. He says, Ein haberacha metzuya. The bracha can dwell only. But davar hasamui b'nayin, something that is covered from the eye. Shene'emar, and he brings the proof from the Torah. Yitzav Hashem itecha ita beracha be'asamecha. There is a pasuk in the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 8, that Hashem will give blessing to one in his barn. Why in the barn? Because the barn is closed. I cannot control the neighbors. So you have bracha, you have blessings. Okay? So the Navi Elisha is teaching us a great lesson. That even a miracle can be affected from the evil eye. And the Elisha is so concerned about it, so he made sure to tell her that. And the Navi wrote it for us to know in the Bible, in the Tanakh, for generations, forever. You want bracha? Close the door behind you. Less people knows, the better. Questions? Okay, so the beracha was really, really great. It's not part of this, but if you look, I urge you to open that chapter and learn in Book of Melachim, 2nd, chapter 4. But learn that with commentary, with the Mefarshim, the commentators. You'll notice that the miracle stopped at some point. When it stopped?
They ran out of vessels.
said
You're almost right.
She said to her son, bring me another vessel. He said to her, there is not another vessel, and the oil stopped.
Right. So you're almost right. Why almost right? They ran out of vessels. It's true. But they could bring more vessels. So you went to the close neighbors. Go to the far neighbors. Go to the store. Tell them, give me all the barrels you have. I'll pay you later. Just give me the barrels. They could make efforts to bring it. The problem was with the response of one of her children. He said, there is more. He says, no, there's nothing more. He said the words, no, there's nothing. By saying a negative word like that, he stopped the abundance. He stopped the shefa. You know, when I was a child, I learned that from my grandma. I learned a lot from Baruch Hashem, my grandmother and my grandfather. Many times they did things and they said things. I don't know if they were even aware that there is a base and a source for it in our Jewish literature. And I noticed that my grandma always said, there is food. She says, yes, ochel, yes. They always sit down. There's something to eat. There is, yes. I see nothing on the stove. I said, yes. And she would go ahead and prepare for you. Will never say the word there is no. There is meat. Even if there is no meat. There is meat, don't worry. The meat probably is in the market, but there is meat. She will make you an egg, scrambled eggs and bread, and then after you okay, anything else? You want meat? Oh, thank you, I'm full. The shakshuka was unbelievable. Everything in our power not to say the word there is no. That's not a joke, I'm telling you. Try always to be positive. Yes, akol tov. It's a topic by itself called Brit Kruta Lasfatayim, the power of our speech. When Hashem created the world, He put power in our speech. We can create reality with not only thoughts, with words. The whole world were created with words. Hashem says, and that happened. Hashem says, and that happened. Power of speech. Anything we say, we're creating, or supporting, or helping, or blocking other forces that we cannot see. Okay? One should never be negative. Always be on the positive side. I mentioned that before. Sometimes a mother, wants to feed her son. Says, if you don't eat it, the police will come. The dog will bite you. The Zohar says, is warned against that very much. And he says, you have to be careful because you give, he says, noten reshut lamezik lazik. You give permission to these forces to come against you. Okay, because you gave them the permission. Now you put your child in the risk. You were trying to be a good mother, a good father. You feed him, you will try to scare him so he eat, but you use a very bad method. Okay. Another example. You see your child is riding a bike, not in the safe way. He's going crazy. He's going wild. So instead of saying, you're going to fall, be careful, what you should say? He says the word, you are going to fall. That's not good. Choose better language. What you can say? You can, faster. You can fall, be careful. Don't say you will. That's what's going to happen to you. It's the power of speech. It's called Brit Krutala. It's a covenant that was set up for our lips. Lasfatayim. Questions?
Yes, Rabbi. You were talking about the blessing on the bread and to leave it on the table. What can you do with it after that? I mean, you can't eat it and you can't throw it away, right?
You don't have to eat it. You can save it for later. The leftover should be on the table when you do the bracha. Now, if you have no bread left over, leave anything else. The Baal Shem Tov said that he taught his disciples, the Hasidim, never to clear the table, okay, till after Birkat HaMazon. So the blessing will rest upon the leftovers, because he says you can do tikkun for some neshamot that are still there. Okay, but if you don't have bread, you should leave at least kazait. Okay, at least the amount of 27 grams. By the way, 27 grams, it's not exactly. It's something to talk before you eat matzah, because you will learn that small amount will be good enough. We measure that in volume. It's called nefach, not in weight. Okay, but another time to discuss that.
Thank you.
Anyways, you have to eat some bread to do bracha. There's all discussion in the halacha if I should bring a new piece of bread. And the Talmud says don't do that, because it's better to bring a broken bread or leftover bread than the whole bread. Well, I'm bringing for the bracha a whole challah. What's wrong with that? It's the way of the idol worshiper. The Talmud says that they want to offer and bless the idol, so they would bring to the end of the meal a whole bread. So in this case, a whole bread won't be good. Okay, it's better to bring something that is broken. Waiting from. Okay, I hope I answered your question.
Hey, Rabbi, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, when we were talking about the evil eye, is that you said it was also related to envy?
Correct. It comes, Ayin Hara mostly come from jealousy. The source of Ayin Hara is jealousy. Okay? We will see Be'ez Hashem later, I don't know if we will get there today, that even a little jealousy to your best friend can hurt him. He didn't have intention, but a little jealousy was there. Another traits to work on, to kick out of from us, okay? To reject.
Are there some spiritual exercises we can do to train ourselves to?
Absolutely, but needs to be learned. The book of Orchot Tzadikim, the way of the Tzadikim, the gates of jealousy. It gives you all the tools.
That's the book we started at.
Correct, at the Goldstein, right? Okay, Elisha and the son of the Shunammite. Listen to what happened. So Elisha was a great prophet that was traveling from one place to another, and he's making efforts to help people. He was a very special Navi. He was a great tzaddik. He learned from the previous Nevi'im what to do and what not to do. You know, Moshe Rabbeinu was a Navi, the father of all the Nevi'im. It's interesting to see that Shmuel is compared like to Moshe and Aaron together, like we say in Moshe ve'Aharon b'choanav, every Shabbos we're saying, okay? They compare both of them together. What's so special? What was so special about Shmuel? Moshe Rabbeinu died at the age of 120. And the prophet Samuel at the age of 52, very young. And yet, he reached such a high level that he was compared to Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. What was so special about him? The fact that he was traveling among the people from yeshiva to yeshiva, he never rested. Lecture here and the Dvar Torah there, and he was needed in that Beit Din, in that court, and he was traveling. And traveling back then, it was not so easy like today. Air-conditioned car, or airplanes, or train. Back then, you go on your horse or the donkey, and you travel. It's not so comfortable. I don't know if you ever ride a donkey. I did when I was a child many times. It's not so fun. It's fun for the few minutes, and that's it. So he had to do that and travel with his staff because he has to stay where he's at. He sacrificed his life for the people. And it was much appreciated by Shamayim. Moshe Rabbeinu had his tent. If you had anything, you had to come to him. But Shemuel was traveling. Elisha learned and he did the same. He was traveling. And it was in a place that a great woman, she was one of the most, generous or important women in that city. So she dedicated a room for Elisha, okay, with a bed, with candles, with lights, with all his needs. Free Airbnb. Just comes whatever. No. Comes whatever, whenever. Comes whenever. And no one could enter that room. At first, she was not aware, I'm not going to go to it because it's not what I want to focus on, but she was not aware that he was such a tzaddik. But she noticed, she saw a few signs, and she told her husband, listen, this guy, it's not just a regular scholar or a prophet. This one is top of the line. Why? She noticed a few things, that his sheets are always clean. Doesn't mess it up during the night, if you know what I mean. And she noticed that, something very special, that every time he eats, did you try to eat outside, by the way, to do a barbecue outside or a picnic? You can have a lot of friends coming, flying to you, right? A lot of flies, right? She noticed when he eats, there is no flies bothering him. His surrounding is always clear. As it says, it fits what King Solomon says, Birtzot Hashem darkei ish, when Hashem like one's actions, one's deeds, Gam oivav, even if enemies, yashlim imo, will make peace with him. Meaning you won't be bothered by anybody. You can, even if a lion would come, you're safe, you're protected. They see the light around you, they're afraid of you. Because you're tzaddik. So she noticed that Elisha, when he eats, there's no flies ever. There's no bothering. She does usually when they eat there, they have to stand with someone with, moving the flies and everything. It never happened when he's there. So that was a sign for her that he is a tzaddik. Anyways, so this lady names off, her name was the Shunamit. The name of the place was Shunem. Okay, like the Dalasit, Tel Avivit, Yerushalmit. Dalasite. Okay. So she had a boy, and this child one day, unfortunately, became sick, and his condition got worsened till gets to the point that he's lost his breath and he died. So Elisha was not far away, a few miles away. So a messenger was sent to bring them the Elisha. The doctors couldn't help. What do? You go to the Rabbi. Okay? So Elisha was already an elderly person. He couldn't run that fast. But he had a special servant. What was his name? Gehazi? Gehazi. Okay, so the name in Hebrew in the Tanakh, Gehazi. So Gehazi was a servant. He messed it up few times. And this time he messed up again. I'm going to read the pasuk. It's in the book of Melachim, chapter 4, verses 29-35. I'm saying the psukim, so if you can check it out later, you can read it. ויאמר לגחזי חגור מותניך וכך משענתי בידיך. Okay. The prophet Elisha, had a staff. You're saying a staff, right? Mm-hmm. A cane, a staff, what do you call it?
They call it a staff.
Staff, okay. So he had a staff that he used to walk with. And he heard that the son of the woman that really take care of him all the time just died. And he wants to help. So what he says to his servant, he says, come over, take this staff, get ready, take my staff and go to that lady's house. On the way there, don't stop to converse with people, don't talk, no hello, no shmelo, no shalom aleichem, nothing, going straight to their house. Okay? And he warned him, "V'chi yevarchecha ish," if even someone will bless you, you won't respond. It's important to know that. Why? You know why? Because if someone tells you, shalom, shalom aleichem, if you don't respond with shalom, you're considered a thief. He's blessed you. You're supposed to bless him back. And you stole a blessing from him. So when someone greets you with shalom, you should respond with shalom aleichem. By the way, according to the Zohar, you always have to add. Shalom, you don't say shalom. What do you say? Shalom aleichem. Always add another word. Always say extra blessing. Okay? You understand? Shabbat shalom aleichem. And stuff like that. It's not mandatory, it's best to do. If you can add, if you remember, always add an extra thing. Anyway, he says, some people will bless you, they will see you, they know you. You go straight, you don't stop. You should not reply. What do you need to do? Take my staff and put it on the boy's face. The Pesukim says he did that, and he put the staff on the boy's face. What happened?
There was no sound and nothing was
He get there, everybody's waiting. Where is it? He's there, he's in the room on his bed, and everybody's crying. Let me handle it. He took the staff. He knows that's going to be a miracle because Elisha sent it. And it says, Ve'en kol, ve'en kashev, there is no voice, no sound, nothing. Nothing was heard. What happened? Elisha playing games? What did he do? What happened?
He blasphemed.
So what happened here, listen. Elisha was warning Gehazi for a reason. What's the reason? He is about to perform a miracle. Ma? A nes, a miracle. A nes gadol, a great one. Now, people would ask him, Elisha knew, people would ask him, where are you going, what are you doing? And he will tell them, and the people will put Ain Hara on that miracle. So the best thing is to do things like that in a hidden way. This is why I instructed him, go straight, you don't even reply. You patul, you're exempt. This time you're exempt. You don't even reply shalom. Don't worry about stealing, nothing, don't worry. We have a better mission now, important mission to save life. So Rashi and the Mfarshim says, the Talmud says, Gehazi was so full of himself. And they ask him, when they saw him, they give respect to Gehazi. They know he's the prophet's servant. Shalom Aleichem, what are you doing? You see this staff? It's Elisha, remember? I'm going to do something great today. With this staff, this is a magic one. I'm going to revive alive. The Midrash says that he even tested it. On the way, he wanted to see if this is such a special tool that can revive life. Let's check it out. On the way, he saw a corpse of a dog. And he put Larry looked so disappointed from Gehazi. I said, oh no. He did it. He touched the dog, and the dog woke up back to life. The miracle is finished. They have so much power in it, and now it's gone. So there's much more to talk about this event. I'm just giving you the titles here. So he went back. He went all the way to the boy, tried to revive him. It didn't work. And on the way there, he was bragging. Everybody knows now. He was testing it. He wasted a lot of time. In the meantime, the boy's, his soul is already in heaven. And he's coming back to report back that it didn't work. And now Elijah has to come by himself. That took some time, right? Vayashav likrato, he went back to Elisha. Vayaged lo lemor lo ikitzana. The boy didn't wake up. And then Elisha, ויבוא אלישע הביתה, והנה הנער מת מושכב על מיטתו. He was dead. And what Elisha is doing? Elisha, read it.
He entered and shut the door behind them both and prayed to Hashem.
And prayed to Hashem. And what happened?
Then he went up and lay upon the boy, placing his mouth upon his mouth, his eyes upon his eyes, and his palm.
Giving him CPA, right? CPR, I'm sorry, CPR. CPA is not a good idea. It's not the time, Give him a CPR. The Mefarshim says, technically is giving him a mouth-to-mouth air, and he's, right, huh?
Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Well, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, thank you for the wordings. And he was able to bring this boy alive. But how he started these actions? Davening, before davening. Close the door. Again, this Elisha is closing the door. And the Bible is bothered to tell us that. And Elisha closed the door behind
him. Behind them both, is what it says.
What do I care who's there? Elisha basically says, everyone's out. I want to be here with the boy. So there won't be any ayin hara. God forbid, even the mother could give ayin hara to her son. So in order to eliminate the power of ayin hara, he wants nobody in the room, and he made sure to close the door. And it worked. He was able to revive the child. You know who was this child? Habakkuk the prophet. Anyways, so what happened was here a great miracle, but we learned a great lesson. You want bracha, blessing in your business? Shut the door. Shut your mouth. Don't brag. And maybe you have a good chance. But without doing all that, you become very vulnerable. You expose yourself to other forces and ayin hara. This is not just a story. It's to teach us a lesson today. Okay? Rabbeinu Bachya says, I'm going to just tell you what he says, I'm going to read it. Rabbeinu Bachya explained the whole method here. It says, the meaning of Elisha was, by giving such instructions to Gehazi, not to talk with people, so he won't talk about his shlichut, about his mission, not to share his mission. Velo ishlobo, because just by saying what he's about to do and what he's doing, people will start to talk about it, and you know words people talking, and it will control the power of the nace. And it says, "V'gehazi lo nishmar meze ka'asher tzivahu." He couldn't help himself. He had to test the staff just to. It's an act of looks like an unbeliever. Why are you testing the staff? You didn't believe your master, your Rabbi, that it's going to work. He had to test it. And then he talked with people. The problem was that he was not responding to people. It was his own initiative. He talked to people. Hey, you know where I'm going? Wait. And he was sharing along the way what he's about to do. And the beracha, the miracle didn't work. And this is why it says, V'gila hadavar v'shalta bo ayin hara. Ayin hara now has control over the whole situation. This is why it says, Lo hekitzana. Okay. So we've learned a great lesson. The whole Mefarshim talks about Elisha's action. And he taught us a great lesson. Close the door behind you. Elisha was makpid to be in the room, only him and the objective. Okay, in order to have this miracle happening. Questions, really quickly. We have like
I have a question.
4 minutes.
I was thinking the exact same thing every time I read what's going on in Eretz Israel and we're talking about. And Israel is about to invade here and is about to invade here. And it's like, why are they discussing it? Why are they giving Biden and everybody else the opportunity to say, oh no, you're not. We're not going to.
I totally agree with you.
We're not going to.
Totally agree with you. Besides military tactics, you need to.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
And I naturally-
I have no explanation for that. Okay. Okay. So the next topic, I'm just gonna talk about this little thing, and then what I mentioned last time. The big thing is about talking about Daniel. You know Daniel, the book of Daniel. We're not going to discuss it today. I'll leave it for next. No, our next class is going to be Be'ezrat Hashem after Pesach. Okay, we're going to continue through the book of Daniel. Okay, I have 3 minutes. The next guy is Haman. Haman knows the power of the evil eye. You know, not only the Jews knows the power of the evil eye, even the non-Jews believe in that. Okay, remember I told you with the Ruda that some cultures growing this plant because they know it has this power. And by the way, I have few if you want to pick up a plant today. Let me know. So Haman, yeah. So one of the Haman's ideas to hurt Am Israel, he wants to give Am Israel ayin hara. As it says, I'm going to quote from Chemdas Hayamim about Purim. It's from the Midrash. Haman bikesh lachnis b'Yisrael ayin hara. It says Haman was a great, big jealouser. I don't know if you can say that. Jealouser. And he wants to give the people of Israel ayin hara. Okay? So the evil eye. And Haman haya mekane vayimale alemcha. You see such a successful people. Little kids know how to read and write. You know, back then, most of the people didn't know how to read and write. But the Jews are very special. Little kids know how to read and write. It's part of our culture, right? So you get jealous of them. Such successful people, such blessed people, how can I get control over them? You want to put ayin hara in them. So he started to investigate, and he found out who is the Rabbi of these Jews. And he found out that the Rabbi of the Jews is, who is it? Who is greater than Mordechai? The greatest prophet? Moshe Rabbeinu. He passed away. So he says, the day a person died, it's not a good mazal for him, meaning this is the day I need to operate. So he investigated, he found out that the 7th of Adar, Moshe died. He didn't know that he was born the same day as well. He missed that part. And he said, he did lottery, and once, twice, 3 times, the month of Adar on the Jewish calendar appeared before him. He says, wow, this is a great sign for me, more than once, Adar. And also Adar, it's the end of the year. It represents ending, finished. I'm going to finish with these people. I'm going to end these people. So for him, he checked all the signs shows that Adar is the month. So he wants to give them ayin hara through that mazal of that month, and he wanted to start his operation in the month of Adar, because the mazal of these people is down. So we all know the rest of, we don't have much time, we don't know the rest of the story. Baruch Hashem, Hashem was with us, with the shkalim that we gave before, and Moshe Rabbeinu born before, that tzaddikim, the day they born is the same date they died. It's a sign that this person is a tzaddik. And Baruch Hashem, Hashem saved us from this Haman. But that was Haman thousands of years ago. We have Hamans of today, right? The leaders of Iran. Hamanai, no? Haman, Aminai, same. Hezbollah, Khomeini, all these guys. The same thing that happened with Haman, it's going to happen to them. They'll be hanged. Bezrat Hashem. May Hashem save the Jewish people anywhere they are, and all those who support the Jewish people, all those who wants to join Judaism, join the club of the Jews, to become part of Hashem's beloved children. May Hashem bless us and all those who support us. And Hashem bless you, give you a good week, Shavua Tov, and I can tell you from today, Chag Sameach. Shavua Tov.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Other rabbis.
Like, remind me next time we're talking about Daniel, okay?
Thank you, Rabbi.
Bavakasha.